All right, what's up, fellas? Hopefully, everybody's having a fantastic week. Had a nice, strong, bullish move early on this week. Tuesday, Bitcoin ripped to the upside, as everybody knows. Yesterday, Bitcoin did absolutely nothing. Yesterday, during the New York session, it traded up into the high of day, made a fresh high of day, rolled over, and went nowhere. It's been bouncing there pretty much all day. We did try to get long there yesterday. Naturally, I got stopped out last night. It looks like around 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, something like that. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second, guys. 1 second. All right, sorry about that. I'm back. All right, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, basically, this is what we're looking at. Oil rolled over. We were looking for that trade on Tuesday. I literally told you guys during the live stream that I was going to be shorting it at 110.24. I'm bringing this up just in case anybody forgot. Well, it wasn't exact. Was it exactly 110.24? I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah, 110.24. We looked at it, we brought it up, we discussed it, talked about it, and I said as long as it's trading under it, I'm going to be looking for the short. Right here is where I was talking about it. We were literally on this candle. So you could have shorted on the next candle at 11:30, or you could have simply shorted on the retest at 1:30. It was your choice. But I mean, when I said as long as it's trading under that price, I want to be short. I mean, that's what it was. So basically, that trade right there was a nice trade. And then since then, though, we haven't had nothing. It's done nothing. I think what's going on is you got really massively oversold really quickly. So price is probably going to be sideways and choppy, and give the near-term indicators time to chill out a little bit. The daily indicator looks good for lower prices. 12-hour looks okay. 8-hour and 4-hour, once you get down into the intraday stuff, it got massively oversold. The first level I'm going to be paying attention to, obviously, is going to be 98.32. It's a 3-day support. I don't know that price is going to hold there, but I'd be more than willing to see what it does when it gets there. I think a better level to look for a retest would be around the $100 spot. That's a big figure number. If it breaks above a 100, then I got a 102.92. $100 is just a massive price in oil. So I'm sure if it gets back up to 100, you'll see a little bit of wiggling going on. But we'll see. But I think obviously that's why Bitcoin and everything kind of lit up that day, was because oil rolled over. And we were waiting for it. We were ready for it. It looked like it was going to break out, but it was a very easy place to mitigate risk. Very easy place to mitigate risk. And yeah, all it takes is one news item to throw this market down. That's all it literally is going to take to put it right back up too. So I don't know that it's over or anything like that. I mean, if the ceasefire fails, this could go right back up. Could go right back up. So last night, Fartcoin went on an insane run and then got massively sold off. Huge volumes came in here. I'm going to call it basically once it hit a quarter, people just said, yeah, I got to short that. Fartcoin was up almost 20% the day that we tried to short it, which was Tuesday. It was right in here. We were looking for it to roll over. I didn't like the short. I hated it, in fact, because the deltas were too bullish. And then it broke out. Once it broke out, it took off. It was up over almost 20% yesterday. And then it looked like you got another massive move up. We'll call it another 20%. 27%, and then it sold off hard. So I'd say Farcoin's probably going to be a little bit sideways and choppy. But I mean, if this is any indication of what's to come on Bitcoin, then obviously people are going to be wanting to look for shorts today on Bitcoin. I can't, because my rules tell me that if you're closing days above the 21 exponential moving average, then the near term is more bullish than bearish. We know that traps exist. This could absolutely be a bull trap. Let's get rid of these things. This could absolutely be a bull trap. This is where we shorted it 2 weeks ago. It rolled over. It could never break down. Traded down to weekly support. Weekly support held firmly for a while. This is the first day that you're testing it. That was Friday the 27th of March. It wasn't until April 2nd you got that next retest, and that's when it held. And price has been up ever since. So I kind of wondering, like, why are the sellers just not able to break it below 67K? Kind of makes me feel as if though they might be exhausted. If the sell side is exhausted, then I want to be on the buy side. So as long as Bitcoin looks like this and has this structure, I have to be more bullish than bearish. So everything looks okay still for that bullish trade. We're trading above the weekly volume weighted average price. We're trading above the 4-hour 21, the 4-hour 200. I think if we got a week open retest, that would be the best place to look for the short. But I don't think that would, or the long, sorry. I don't think that would be today. I think today you might see something a little bit of what you saw yesterday. You might make a fresh day low, as your intraday range has been a literal nothing burger. Today we had PCE, which was core inflation, or the Fed's preferred inflation gauge. And funnily enough, month over month did absolutely nothing, which I kind of anticipated that it was going to be higher. Core inflation, or CPI, is tomorrow. That should be higher. But the forecasters are only calling for a 0.1% on month over month numbers. They're calling for 0.2% on year over year, which makes sense. Every $10 spike in oil is a 1 or a 2-point move in inflation. But I mean, we got well over a $10 move on oil since our last inflation print. So we'll see what happens with it. But inflation rate year over year, that's up. That's going to be up massively right there. So you can see it's going up from 2.4% up to 3.3%. So inflation is anticipated to be higher, but PCE came in as anticipated. Oh, sorry. And we also had a GDP print today as well. And you can see that growth is down significantly from the last quarter. That's going to be from the government shutdown, obviously. It's still positive. So it doesn't look good, though. The economy's still in good shape. It's a K-shaped economy, which, you know, that's not the greatest economy in the world. But it's still, there still is growth. There still is growth happening. But yeah, as long as we're above the 21, I'm going to have more of a bullish bias. So basically, I took a long again this morning. I'm still holding it. My first long for the day is going to be about right in here. And then I will try again if that trade gets stopped out at the low of day to get in on a long, as I want to see if it finds support right here. If it doesn't, then I'll leave it alone. But I am looking to hedge off that long only risk with a short if I can. Yesterday we were watching XMR for the short, not XMR, apologies, Zcash, but I missed it. I had several opportunities to take it. I just didn't because I felt like it was still too bullish. Price action was still very bullish and the deltas were still positive. Like all the indicators that I look at to basically give me my daily bias said that I should not be bearish. So I didn't take it. And in hindsight, that was a dumb play. I should have took it. I mean, it gave me the damn trade all day long. This is the level that I was looking for the short at. I mean, to get a 6% move to the downside from that level, that's a phenomenal chef's kiss trade. It took literally forever to get there, but you did ultimately get it. So just going through the list of what I'm looking at this morning, I don't really see anything that I love in terms of looking for the short. The one thing that is giving us, well, shit, a potential setup is going to be hype, but only if this POC migrates to the top side. So basically, I'm going to look at it like this. This is the high of day. If we get a liquidation run above the high of day and then a failure, and then we get back under this, I will take the short at 39.18. Hype has, the hyper liquid exchange. It has value. Essentially speaking, they make money via trading fees. Then they take a portion of those trading fees and they reinvest back into the hyper token. So essentially, it's kind of like a stock buyback program. It's got solid crypto fundamentals. Basically, not a great asset to look for shorts, but the deltas are negative, or at least neutral, right? That's the first thing. We gotta at least have neutral to negative deltas. We've got those, and then we need to be trading up or around the daily high with the POC up here. Like I said, that POC is still down here. It could migrate up. If that happens, I would be okay with taking a short on this. You can see that you are seeing, or you did see, a volume spike here 15 minutes ago. So hopefully that wasn't the entry. Hopefully we get another shot at it. And that's it. That's all we got. That's all I've got for today. Apple is still on highs, which looks okay. Nvidia looks like it's trying to pull into support here. And Tesla still looks like it wants to head lower for whatever reason. Bad delivery numbers or whatever. So yeah, my bias for today would be bullish Bitcoin and then look for an alt to short. Well, here, let's go here. We don't need two apples. Dominance is up. Dominance is up nicely. So dominance refused to roll over. Okay, so that's going to be why we're looking for alt shorts. Just give me a second. I'll find this one. Ethereum is not going to be it. Ethereum is on the low of day right now. I don't want to short stuff that's trading at the low or near the low of day. But Ethereum does have negative deltas. Fartcoin's going to be out of it. Fartcoin had a big move already. It looks like Bonk's going to be out of it. Pingu. Very small range day today. Yeah, this isn't my favorite kind of short to take. You're too close to the middle of the range. High of day would have to go all the way up to there. Then it wouldn't feel so bearish, you know what I mean? Wouldn't feel like a short would work. Zcash could, if Zcash was up near the high of day, it's not. XMR is wacky. It's bullish. XMR is too bullish. Well, it actually only did it in one candle. Yeah, I'd say this is probably a buy the dip opportunity on XMR. I could be wrong. You're testing. I don't know. This isn't going to be this week's VWAP. Let's get this week's VWAP up there. Piece of garbage. I want the VWAP, bro. It won't let me delete it. It won't let me do nothing. There we go. Oh, God. All right. Yeah, it's still under the weekly VWAP. So, I mean, I don't like the structure, but it is what it is. Let's see here. What's the SPOOs look like today? I think everything is, yeah, let's see what the dollar does. The dollar is actually breaking down here. That could put a lift under Bitcoin. Massive upside gap to fill on the dollar. So I don't really love the idea of shorts dollar here. But if we could get a retest of the daily 21 exponential, then maybe. But we do have bullish invalidation on the dollar. Your double top up here, you've made a lower low. So this was the low that we were watching. We needed that low to be broken for us to say that your double top has failed. You've gotten your higher low, lower low sequence. So the double top can be in play at least. Your closing days under the 21 exponential. Let's check. As long as that's the case, we can have a downside bias back on the DXY. It could find support, obviously. If you look at it in terms of a monthly candle, this is just a pullback. You're only testing the midpoint of March's range. So buyers could show up. That would be the best bear case for risk assets and Bitcoin. If the dollar does in fact get back to being bullish, I think losing March, January, February, and March's trend is a good invalidation point. This orange line right here is the weekly 21 exponential. So you're currently testing that. So it could in fact be support. But I would be willing to short a lower high if we get a lower high. So let's set an alert on hype. Remember, don't go balls deep on this one. We don't have a beautiful setup just yet. We will if the POC migrates higher. And then we'll mitigate risk via the current high of day. Now, in terms of the higher time frames, this is not a short. You've already broken well above the 200 EMA on the 4-hour. On the daily, you're well above the 200 and the 21 exponential. On the RSI, you're above the 50. So it's literally, it's bullish, right? You've broken out above the 200 exponential daily. You've retested it as support and support has held. So as of right now, you have more of an upside trend than you do a downside trend, right? If you're using moving averages to gauge trend or strength of trend or trend momentum, however you want to look at moving averages, however you want to look at them, it's still bullish. Generally, we don't want to short bullish assets. We want to short weak assets. So on the intraday, it has a signal. Could be a potential sell. But on the higher time frames, it doesn't look like it would be. So we'll see what happens. I'm looking to see if there's a better one real quick, though. Solana had massive outflows the other day. I don't see massive outflows here. I heard it on a YouTube video. Someone said a couple $1 billion of outflows. I'm not seeing that. So never mind. This thing's already down 14. XRP would have been a perfect short yesterday, but we missed it. I didn't see it in time. So that's why I'm running through them real quick this morning to make sure there's not a perfect trade or a perfect setup like XRP gave yesterday. Pippin does move a lot sometimes. I don't know. I don't like it when it gets real tight like that. Yeah, we might have missed it on Pike because a lot of things are currently moving lower. Siren's up 26. This thing is headed back to $1. Are you kidding me? It just will not die. We already made money on this when it broke down the first time. It was way oversold. It was like 96, 98, 99 on the weekly RSI. It was time to start looking for shorts on it. But here it looks like it's trying to break out again. This could be a trap. You've already liquidated, so if it's going... Oh, no, you have not. You've not liquidated yet. Okay. Yeah, okay, so you liquidated on the last 3-day range. The fact that this is heading back up doesn't feel weak to me. It feels like upside continuation. I generally don't want to short into upside continuation. The deltas are not a sell. We could sell it based on the 4-hour 2200 and that's it. But the problem with trying to short based on moving averages is you can get a lot of choppy price action above it. So like this candle can break out and then you can build in this range, a crazy range above the average. So I mean, shorting, you're shorting into bullish momentum. And generally we don't want to do that. Excuse me. I haven't had my coffee yet. It's on the way. Yeah, I don't see anything that I absolutely love before the bell rings. Damn you, fart coin. I mean, I probably wouldn't have shorted it. I'm just curious. It's down 26. Trying to build in support here, but the deltas look like it wants to go lower. Price is trending, so is the deltas. Yeah. If you guys have something, or if you've looked at a crypto and there's a clear and obvious trade on it, let me know. We'll take it together. But here is the oil trade for anybody that if I can get it to pull up. So I obviously took profits on it way too quick. I took profits on it twice because it was such a big move. So I made a grand on that one. Not bad at all. Not bad at all. And then here's the Bitcoin position that I'm currently in, but pretty sure I'm gonna get stopped out of it because it's been difficult to get long. Tuesday we had an upside. There's the bell. Tuesday we had an upside bias on Bitcoin. We were watching the prior day's low on Bitcoin, which was here, if you remember. And then this stopped us out. And it spent another 4 hours chopping and, being stupid at the weekly demand zone for anybody that was here that day. If you were live with us while we were analyzing these things, Bitcoin was basically not really giving us a setup. And I didn't trust the weekly demand zone. All right, so we did just get an alert on hype. So we're getting our move right now. Let me pull it up on the trading platform so we can watch it. For me, position sizing on hype when I do trade it is about 600 bucks. That's a pretty juicy position size with 20x leverage. If you attempt to take this trade with me, make sure you mitigate your risk. You know what you stand to lose. So I'm not a licensed financial advisor. I'm just a technical day scalper. Thank you, my love. She got the coffee in hand and the trade talk mug. Let's get it. Thank you, baby. All right, so taking the trade right now, this second, would be risky as it hasn't liquidated the prior 4-hour swing high yet. And that's how we're going to mitigate our risk, essentially. So basically, because of the structure here, we don't love the idea of the short. The only reason we're even thinking about the short is because of the deltas. They're more bearish than bullish, and we're about to make a fresh day high. So if we get an increase in volume up here, that tells us at least other traders are interested in taking a trade up here. But, because the daily 4-hour structure is more bullish than bearish, there's a super high chance we're going to get stopped out of it. That's okay as long as we mitigate our losses. As long as our losses are smaller than our winners. So we're going to have to make a decision on this pretty soon, I have a feeling. But I would love to see that high day liquidation. So first I'm going to go in 39.32 with a limit. See if I can coax it back up here. And I'll go in with 430 bucks first, 418. And Bitcoin looks like it's wanting to make a run lower. I do have a stop out on Bitcoin. My positioning was terrible this morning, so I kind of figured I would get stopped out of it. Very bad position. The best position would have been here or here, but I wasn't awake during that time. Let me look at the questions just to make sure nobody's throwed up a setup. Long XRP. I mean, XRP was a beautiful short yesterday. If Bitcoin rallies, then yeah, XRP could rally, obviously. But I mean, you saw Bitcoin dominance is strong. It's stronger than it is weak. That's going to be a little negative for XRP. XRP is not down massively. Is it a long? Yeah, it could be. If you have a daily long signal, you do not. You're trading and closing under the daily 21. So it would be a counter trend trade. Yeah, you rejected the 4-hour 200. Your deltas are bullish here today. So you could, oh, sorry, wrong chart. So you could, in fact, see, here's the daily, your closing days under the 21 exponential. Extremely weak chart. 4-hour, you rejected the 200 day, the 204 hour, sorry. But your deltas today are more positive. So you could have an iceberg order down here. I don't know. Your POC looks okay. It looks like your dip buyers are here, but I think it'll be determined on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin rallies, then XRP could. All right, let's go look at Bitcoin real quick and see if we have bullish deltas. We do. We had bullish deltas yesterday. Yes. Day before. Yes. And yes. So that looks good. Looks like the buyers are here. The only thing that isn't happening is prices not going up. So that could mean that, you know, there are sellers trying to keep it down. But that could also help with the breakout if buyers do get control of the asset today. I want to be long Bitcoin. Like I said, it feels like the sellers are for whatever reason, they don't have the juice at 67K. When the sellers are in control of a market, they don't need for it to chop, right? Because selling happens when people are emotional and they're fearful. That's what drives price lower. Fearful selling, not short traders. Short traders can obviously help, but so yeah, I mean, it looks good. It looks like it wants to retest MicroStrategy's cost basis. But I mean, it's got to get above this 3-day high. This 3-day high it's a weekly high. 2 weeks ago, that's where we shorted then. So I'm glad I took profits on this short. And on Saturday's upload, I said if we close the day above the 21, I was going to exit that short. Because once we broke down here, a week tops, this thing should have rolled over, in my opinion, if it was going to go lower. The fact that it came right back up here, closed, I went ahead, exited this short position because I took profits on the original move, made my trading funds. Then I left half of the position open for any downside continuation. So I still, down in here, I had like $600 of unrealized P&L that I had to protect. So once it finally got back up here, it had cut that in half. So I had about $300 of unrealized gains left. I decided to take them. And I'm glad I did, because if I wouldn't have, that all of the P&L would have been gone. Gone, baby, gone. So on the very near term, like this week specifically, the bulls have been in control of order flow. Or at least they were for 2 days there. I've been stopped out of Bitcoin long. So I think we're going to miss. Not XMR, hype, dude. Hype. I think we're going to miss this. Oh no, it looks like it could still liquidate the day high. Keeping an eye on Bitcoin because I do want to get long again one more time. We have a lower low, lower high 4-hour candle structure on Bitcoin. So the sellers are going to feel like they definitely have it. I don't think they do, not yet. If it breaks down below the low day today and starts to trend, then obviously we'll have to talk about that, right? But as long as oil is pulling back, or at least down, as long as the dollar is pulling back and headed lower, I do want to be long. I just don't know that we're going to get a pullback all the way down to the low day. So it makes it a little bit difficult here, because this is where I was trying to mitigate my risk from earlier. And the 4-hour looks like this. That might be the best trade. Maybe wait for a 4-hour 200 retest and see if support builds in there. But I'm trying to be a little bit more aggressive because I have plenty of money to play with this week. There's no way I can lose money this week. I get more aggressive the bigger my cushion gets. All right, so I've got Bitcoin up there, and I'll keep hype on the screen because hype is going to be a potential short side entry. And I'll keep Bitcoin on watch. Because I don't want to miss either. Another thing on Bitcoin is the weekly VWAP is down here. I just feel like I wouldn't want to see that much of a downside move to buy into, depending on what time it is. If it's like noon 30 and it's down in here, then I'm not going to be buying it. I just feel like it should probably stop going lower in the next hour or so if it is going to be an up day. You've had 2 days of chop. So it's situated perfectly for like a 3-bar pattern, a drive, consolidation, drive. And I think, if we could get in around yesterday's low, we could target yesterday's high as more of a swing trade type of deal. But we'll see what it does. I've got it pulled up on the other monitor, so I'll let you know if I get long. Baby, can you grab me a can of Zone, please? This is going to be a difficult trade here. Because if we chase it to here, thank you, baby. If we chase it down here, just pulling back to where we are anticipating it's going to pull back to anyways, would be almost a 1% loss. I don't have an objective level here other than a 30-minute. So 8-hour res is all the way up here. Ooh, we have 12-hour res here. Yeah, I mean, it's just, I don't want to chase it. I can get it here. I just can't get it down here. That's what my rules say. If your rules say it's okay to chase, be my guest. But my rules do not allow me to chase price. Sometimes I do, but I don't like this one good enough. If it was bearish, like if it was closing daily candles under the 21 and we were like retesting the 4-hour 200 and, you know, we were testing the 50 on the RSI and we have the deltas and the POC and everything in the way that we want to see it, plus dollar is kind of bullish, then obviously I would chase that. But we don't have all that, so I don't like the idea of a chase. But I'm starting to feel like if we don't do something soon, we're going to miss it. Which is really the bad thing to do in trading. You shouldn't be using emotions at all. But we wear our emotions on our sleeves. We get mad. We break keyboards when shit doesn't work right. Got a new chair, man. I'm so happy, pleased with this chair. Jesus. My fat ass has been sitting in a 250-pound gamer chair with a solid piece of plywood for a seat, is what it felt like. It was brand new. I just bought it 2 weeks ago. And it was so hard. Sitting in that chair for more than 3 hours would make my back hurt. I bought a Lazy Boy, rated for 400 pounders. And this bitch got plenty of cushion in it. I'm a big boy. I weigh 250 pounds. I need a chair. What'd you get? It's a Lazy Boy. I just went to my local Staples and picked it up. Staples has a pretty good selection. They're just a little bit expensive. Yeah, I have a brand new black gamer chair out there. I mean, if you're not a big boy, you can have that one. I can send it to you. It's like I said, I just bought that one not long ago. It just didn't work. It was no better than my old one. This one's much better. I have a stand-up desk. You know what I mean? It's just the way I have it configured. It's not the easiest of... I have to walk around and raise the top side monitor first before I can raise the desk. But when seated, it's a perfect setup. Even when standing, it's a perfect setup. I'm just a lazy bastard, I guess. All right, Bitcoin is heading a little bit lower. It does look like it wants to test the low of day. See if there's any demand there. It's still got a ways to go before it's making a fresh day low. This right here is going to be your day low. So I think we might have missed hype. You see how the deltas are trending and prices also now confirming it, or at least trending a little bit as well. So now what happens if price does roll back up and liquidate the high? Do we take it then? I don't know. We'll see. I feel like Bitcoin would have to find support before that would happen, but maybe not. Like I said, hype does have decent pumpamentals. It can be pumped. It is being purchased by trading feed profits all the time. For long-term buy and hold, 67K is where I've been filling some of my Bitcoin buys, but those are going on cold. That's just going straight to cold storage. I'm going to sit on it for at least 5 years. That's the plan anyways. If Bitcoin doesn't go to zero, I don't think it will, obviously, or I wouldn't be buying it. I think 67K on Bitcoin is a really good value area. It's the midpoint of this consolidation. Basically, it's just like, if you look at the monthly, we've been chopping in this range. So if you pull a fib from here, this low, to this high, 67K is the midpoint. Ish. It's the midpoint-ish. 67, 68. I think that's a decent spot for long-term buys. 5-year holds plus. But for the day traders, we're looking to pick it up somewhere pretty close here. Don't love the idea of buying it here, but we may have to. Not really seeing anything else act like it's bullish, but the dollar is, well, not really. It's kind of in the middle of yesterday's range, but it is on the lows of day. So the dollar is weak. It's down near the day low, today's low. So that's good. That's one of the aspects that we want to see for Bitcoin longs. So we might have to put a fill here on weeks, on the weeks platform. That entry is going to be 7671. Remember, if you're trading with me, make sure you know what you stand to lose if you're wrong. When I split my entries up like this, when I'm trying to get a feel for the market, I allow myself 3 stops, 3 stop losses. I risk $100 a day to make $300. So I split it up as 3 entries. If I'm wrong, I lose 30 bucks, and then I'll wait and try it again. If I lose again, I'm out 30 bucks again till that third one. And then I'm done for the day, period. This way it keeps my risk under 100, and I can be wrong on my first 2 shots. Because if I'm right, as long as my position size is correctly, if Bitcoin moves up 1.5% to 2%, I'll be able to make $300. So we need Bitcoin to get back up to the weekly high in order to have a profit target hit. But anyways, that low is 7671. It might not feel good to buy, I get it. Deltas are even starting to trend here. It might want to make a lower low. You do have somewhat of an inverse head and shoulders here, but it's an intraday head and shoulders. Intra week. But it is clearly there. Patterns rarely work out. I don't trade patterns. I'm not taking the entry based on that. I'm taking it based on the 12-hour low. The prior 12-hour low. If it pushes too deep below this low, then I'll just get out with a small loss and wait until it gets down in here. Then I'll have to be very greedy with that last entry. I don't think hype is going to produce anything here, but it might. I can't chase it. I can only get in up here. Because that gives me a 38 spot 45 target. And that gives me my 2%. Good morning, says Janet. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Long XRP, says Jewelry Affairs. And CJ says sell. You can sell if you want. I'll take it. Take it off your hands, my friend. Bitcoin is oversold on the weekly, or it was oversold on the weekly. It's not the best place to be looking for fresh shorts, but I get it. Retail is scared right now. The fear and greed index is still very much down. Very much down. Crypto is still in extreme fear, 14. That's where most retail does their selling. You know what I mean? I want to be a buyer there. I'm trying to see. Yeah, hype isn't even bearish on the weekly, dude. Hype is currently trending above last week's high. That's another strike against the short. But I mean, it looks like it's gonna freaking play out here, and I haven't gotten my fill. I'm not gonna chase it down here. I need to get it up here. All right, Bitcoin is dropping further. Looking pretty rough. Let's get rid of the EMAs. We don't need them on a 30-minute chart. We know that the 200 4 hours down here. Yeah, nice big trending move lower. Risk is still sideways. Yeah, dollar's down. Oil's heading up. So that might be what the issue is. Oil is retesting 2023's high right now. The WTI oil, that is. West Texas Intermediary is testing the 2023 yearly high. And maybe that's what's putting a little bit of pressure on Bitcoin this morning. It is usually hard to get positioned long when Bitcoin has a lot of upside volatility. And to be honest with you, since it's been in a bear market, getting long hasn't really produced anything. So I get it. Like, all the rallies have been faded, every one of them. So that makes it a little bit more difficult for demand to show up. This thing hasn't done anything, not really, constructive for a long time. I mean, you had a few days here where it was bullish every day, but you didn't really go anywhere. And then, like, for the entire year, last quarter, Q4, Q1. So for a half of a year, Bitcoin has literally just been sideways and down. No real upside to speak of. That's why people are afraid to buy it. They'll buy Bitcoin once Bitcoin gets back up to 150K. Then they'll want to buy it. But then it'll be too late. East Coast client meeting. Got a roll. Thank you for the stream. Good luck. Good luck to you, Nick. Get them clients. Silver's a little bit bullish today as well, probably because of dollar weakness, but silver could be a short here. All right, let's pull out the perps, and we'll see if it is. Yeah, it could be. Excuse me. It's just an 8-hour level, but we'll set an alert. It would be a chase right here, right now. Your deltas are not significantly bearish, and actually the buyers have been holding it. You've broken and closed above intraday resistance, so it's not the slickest trade out there, I can tell you that, or the best setup. However, if it fails at 75.75, I would be willing to take a short on it. Freaking hype, dude. Hype has a bad habit of not doing stuff when it provides setups. Got to be careful with it because it can do this and with the quickness. That's why I don't like chasing this thing. I would have loved to have seen that POC migrate higher, but it just did not spend much time up there this morning to even give me a chance to short it. I would have had to have been Johnny on the spot to get it there. That's a 30-minute resistance. It's the highest closing 30-minute candle in today's range. If it closes above that, we have to give more respect to the bulls. But I can't chase it down to here. I need it up here. Then I can try to short it. But if it's back up here, it could be threatening a run to the hive day. And that's really what I want to see. I want to see a run above the hive day. Then I want to see it reject after about 10 or 15 minutes. Then I'll short it. But here's the thing, if Bitcoin goes up today, this is very much poised to continue higher. Because today is a higher low. Today's low is higher than yesterday's low. So you're wedged up. You're a nice sideways inside day range candle right now. We just got our first 30-minute close on Bitcoin as it is 10 o'clock. Looks like it wants to go higher. But for the intraday scalp, the deltas suggest it might want to go lower. POC has migrated up on the 30-minute. On the 5-minute, it's still hanging out down here. That's odd. If Bitcoin breaks down, this thing's gonna break down probably. Yeah, I don't want to chase it, guys. If you can mitigate the risk from there, then go ahead, right? If you can put a short on at 38.98 and you can mitigate with a stop up there, you're gonna need a much wider profit target. It is possible that it gets hit. Very possible. Especially if Bitcoin rejects these highs and heads back lower. This could do the same. Kind of big volumes up here. I don't see any like nasty low volume nodes here. My concern is the POC and where price is. But the deltas do look good for a down move. We probably should have shorted Apple. This looks like a rejection. But you're going to need the war to kick back off again in order for risk markets to break back down. Most likely. But it is a rejection, as you were unable to get any upside continuation from the 4-hour 200. That is as of right now, right? It could still do that today. It could break out today, and tomorrow you could be back up to 266 by tomorrow easily. But at least as of right now, it is failing. But it would be a chase. It would be similar to hype. You'd be chasing it. The best entry would have obviously been there. If you were looking for the short. Nvidia looks good. Probably going to chop around this range. And then we'll know what it wants to do when it breaks back, right? If it breaks out upside, it's going higher probably. Retest the yearly open. If it breaks back down, we can look for weakness trades again. As it's doing the same thing Apple's doing here. It's testing the 4-hour 200. It's an intraday moving average, but I've had pretty decent luck around the 200 4-hour. As it, you know, after all, what I do is straight luck. Lucky. Love you, Joe. So maybe we get lucky again. We'll see. Hype still very choppy. Bitcoin looking like it wants to go lower. So you put in a very, very small interest, you know, very small range here. The fact that it just closed the 5-minute candle under, I would anticipate another couple candles lower. A trending move can now take part. Or this could be a trap, but it's not looking like it. Not really seeing huge deltas or huge volumes build up down here. You're right at the low value area, or value area low, I should say. That doesn't mean it's going to go up from here. It's just an indicator, but you are starting to trend. So it does look like I'm going to have to close this position and then maybe look for that 200 test. Which sucks because I'm not short anything except oil. And like I said, that could go back up and test that $100 level. Almost got it on silver. We almost got it. Oof. It's all bid volume up here. So these are short sellers getting stopped out. And probably some breakout buyers. But you didn't really break out. I mean, right here is where you broke out from. You did get a spike there as well. Maybe, I guess, over leveraged traders, maybe they shorted it here. And then when this wick ran up there, it stopped them out. I don't know. A lot of buyers at the top of the range. Kind of feels like stop losses. I mean, it's close. It's close enough to resistance test, but I want to see that liquidation failure. That's the swing high failure pattern that we look for when we are looking for shorts. So I want to see that at least before I can even think about putting it on. Shorting silver right now means that I would be more bullish DXY. The chart of silver looks fine to short. So even if you don't, even if you think that silver will not move inversely correlated to the dollar, which it oftentimes it does, especially when volatility is elevated. And since the dollar's near the low of day today, it makes sense that silver's at the high of day. You know what I mean? So you kind of got that going against looking for a short trade on XAG. The deltas are also trending back to the upside. That's concerning. They are still neutral, But once you broke up above this block right here with this candle, your trend has shifted. It could come back, of course, but you would need to see that happen. You would need to see big sell side deltas. And looking at the session volume profile, you don't have any big sell side deltas because it's all buy side. Literally all buy side. It probably doesn't look like that on the 5-minute chart. To be fair, it does. Look at all that bid volume. Yeah, that's probably stop losses. I can't imagine someone buying here. Why would you buy here? What's your profit target? Way up there? A 3x deviation move? Today's a very choppy day. What are they up or down? Their silver's up 1.3, gold is up 1.808. So silver is up slightly more than the dollar. USD JPY retesting the daily 21 exponential right now. You could hypothetically maybe look for a short right there for more dollar weakness. But if the yen is weaker than the dollar, this trade will not work. And it is expensive to hold shorts for a long time on the yen right now. The yen is weaker than the dollar. That is why this is moving higher. So if you're wondering why is the dollar down but USD JPY is not, that is your answer. The yen is weaker, thus causing the pair to trend higher. You need the yen to be stronger than the dollar for this to roll over. Or you need the dollar to be weaker. It could end up being that way by the end of the day. So, I don't love the idea of USD JPY shorts until we see some kind of intervention from the BOJ. Because that's, I think, what it's going to take to break the carry narrative. The carry narrative is strong with the force right now. For whatever reason, the sellers have not been able to break the dollar down. But yeah, for dollar weakness, it would be great. But the yen is just, oh, so weak. Pathetic. It looks like the U.S. bond market or the TLT getting ready to break down. A breakdown could be a big move. We have to be careful. But it is a 21-day retest, so there's that. And if I was going to short it, that's where I'd be doing it. All right, Bitcoin's breaking down here. And hype is just not going to give us our short side entry. So that's not a fresh day low yet, but it looks like it's on its way. There's your daily low. There's your daily open. Annoying. Chop slop. Oil's pushing up, so you're getting ready to make a fresh day high on oil. Like I said, this thing got massively oversold. So basically, the reason this move was so big was because of all the pimped up demand. You can clearly see it on deltas. If I pull this chart up like this, or here, let's just do the bar replay. Let's close the RSI, the RISI. See how much more bullish these days have been than bearish, right? You only had a couple days where you even squeaked below neutral. But for the last several days, like this day ended bullish. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 straight days of massive bullish pressure. Price goes nowhere, it gets volatile, stops both sides of the market out, then it goes back up, short of running the stops again, and then folds on heavy bullish deltas. So your volume is trending higher, but price is not. So that could indicate that there's an iceberg seller, a big seller that's soaking up the bid, or whatever. But because of all these over leveraged longs, once price broke down, it collapsed. Like right there, you started to make a fresh low. So naturally, that's going to be profit target numeral uno. And then look what happens next. Like, bam, bam. That's that drop. Like, that's all those longs getting liquidated. And then now we're just stuck in another range. But now you see heavy sell side deltas. People trying to get short, looking for downside continuation, thinking this is the blow off top. I mean, it, to be fair, is a pretty big move. But I think they're a little early. I think you got to give it a couple days, then potentially go look for that trade. Right on the very next day, I mean, that was a huge move. That was the biggest one-day drop in oil since the pandemic. Over 13%. Oil doesn't move 13% usually in a day. Oil isn't a big mover like that. It's not an alt. It's a commodity. 1-2% moves on a daily basis is consistent with oil. That's a massive drop. A good trade. Yeah, it looks like I'm going to miss the hype short. And that really, really sucks because Bitcoin is not cooperating this morning. The deltas on Bitcoin have actually turned back to neutral. So that's a little bit concerning as well. I mean, buyers could show up at any minute, but I mean, in terms of analysis, it looks like it's going to make a fresh day low. I'm barely hanging on by the skin of my teeth with that long. Barely hanging on. It's going to stop me out. But the move hasn't, like, I wouldn't have loved the idea of a short up here either this morning or here. And it was just either you get long or there is no trade. Now, if Bitcoin breaks down, right, there's a 1.21% move. So if you shorted 71.3, you could have a profit target of like 70,200. But yeah, it just wasn't a great setup. There's just not enough meat on the potential bone to take a short. Hype did give us a potential entry, but I didn't take it because it happened when I was not ready. But it hasn't fallen yet either, and it's been an hour since the short setup provided itself. So if you're short from there, you would definitely want to see this thing starting to break down pretty damn soon. Because if bullish deltas do start showing back up, it wouldn't take nothing for it to go back up to the high of day. And now you have a lot of buildup of stops up here because it's spent a lot of time trading in this area. Would I buy this? No. But you could. I mean, you could get lucky and it could turn into something insane. Yeah, no, I wouldn't be able to buy it. I could only be a seller here. Not here, up there, but you do have kind of a divergence there as well. Well, not really. That's price made a higher low, and the delta's made a higher low too. Yeah, it would be a risky long for sure, but the daily time frame is definitely a good signal for longs. Have you talked about Palantir? Any idea why it's crashing? It's crashing because it got way too overvalued way too quickly. I haven't looked at it. I can go look at it. Yeah, I mean, it's a sell. It's under the 200. It's still good on the weekly time frame. But I mean, it's not a strong trend. And it's losing the 50. So that's why it's selling off hard. Because all the buyers that were buying the 50 EMA are getting smoked. Yeah, I don't see anything. There could have been news. Anthropic is a threat to Palantir, according to Michael Burry, but Michael Burry isn't always right. To be honest with you, he's not even right that often. He's just a good risk manager, so he's got the money, the street cred. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't see anything like, I don't consider it a massive sell-off, but it is losing. It's lost its daily 200. That's generally not good. You are about to be trending also. If you take out February's low, you will be trending to the downside again. You're in a 3-month range. It could find support down there. Would I buy it? No. Like I said, this was a massive short squeeze. There's a lot of people out there that still don't believe Palantir is worth that much. But, I mean, it's subjective to say Palantir is worth that much, right? Or is it? That's a subjective data point. But, yeah, I mean, a pullback was needed. Let's say that. is definitely needed. You're getting that pullback. You hit overbought on the weekly RSI at $33 a share, and it ran to 200. So massively overbought. Maybe wait for Palantir to hit oversold and then see if that sparks demand. Because clearly the 50 on the weekly is not. So since the buyers aren't there, they obviously want to get it lower. So maybe wait for this indicator to hit oversold levels. Maybe give it a week or two under oversold. And then if you're looking to be a buyer, if you bought it up here, I would bail. Like, always keep your losses small. Don't set in a trade in a loss ever. Like, there's no reason for that. All you got to do is click the exit button and you can get right out. Then you can look to position lower potentially if you want to be involved in an upside trend. But now that you're under the 50 here on the RSI, you're under the 50-week EMA, which is a strong trend indicator. That's a 50-week is a very strong trend. When that's being respected, you've lost that. You spent many weeks distributing the 50. But like I said, you're gonna have to watch February's low, and then after that, it's off to the races. It could go, who knows how low it could go. But yeah, it got massively overbought. That's why it's pulling back. Nothing goes up forever, nothing goes down forever. Unless it's a shit stock, and then it goes down forever until they file bankruptcy. They'll split it or do reverse splits a couple of times, but eventually bankruptcy is on around the corner. Palantir is just pulling back. I don't think you have to worry about it going back to like $30 or anything like that, unless something comes out that's devastating for the company. Like their software really isn't that good or something. Which I think the stock would have never went to 200 if that was the case. I know a lot of people don't like the fact that Palantir's spying on them, but there isn't anything we can do about it. Get off the internet. That would be one way to deal with it. But even then, they're probably tracking traffic cams and everything. It'd be kind of hard to stay off the radar in a big town. So yeah, it's been an hour. It doesn't feel like Bitcoin wants to find support. It could, but it's not looking good. Hype is still not trending either. But it probably, if it does break down, it'll probably break down pretty quickly and give you a rapid move lower. That's if it breaks down. Would have been fun to participate in that fart coin move. I didn't even know this had happened till I woke up this morning. I was like, holy shit. What had happened there? All the way up to a quarter. Crazy. Crazy sauce. Right back down to the monthly open, and so far so good. But yeah. be honest with you, with these wicks like this, I really thought it was going to hold support here. It didn't, though. It seems like when you're in a bear market like this, trying to get long is always a difficult feat. When Bitcoin breaks back out to the upside or starts trending up again, it'll be a little more, probably a little easier to get involved in an upside move, because you'll see more momentum. This up 1 day, down 2 days, down 3 days, down 4 days stuff, that's not momentum. It's literally just headline risk. You get a good news headline comes out, you get 1 day of upside, and then the sellers come right back, beat it back down, keep it down. Or the buyers, it's like nobody has conviction, right? You can see that in the chart. Nobody has conviction. Nobody has bullish conviction. Nobody has bearish conviction. This market is lacking of any conviction at all. I feel like it's probably going to rally, but catching it is going to be difficult. If you put a wider stop in, you could probably catch it. I mean, April just got started, so we're getting to be about 9 days in. I would have really wanted to see it moving already, but who knows? Yeah, when deltas are positive but price is weak, it could be a couple of things, right? That's not what we want to see. If we're going to use the cumulative volume delta indicator as sort of a signal, we're not necessarily using it as a signal. We're using it to basically see who is more aggressive, and then how is price responding to that aggressiveness, right? So when when it's not clear, you have much more aggressive buyers, but price isn't being respected, or price is not respecting those aggressive buyers. Then it's like a no signal, right? You ignore it, you move on. Yeah. Because we want price to be confirming the aggressor. And if that is the case, then we can look to position ourselves to catch a continuation move. If your buyers are more aggressive but price is going lower, it could ultimately find support. But if you try to force the issue, there's a really good chance that you eat too many stops. So that way, if you do catch the freaking move eventually, you don't make your money back, even the money you lost trying to catch it, if that makes sense. Because once you get to the point to where you're emotional based on how much money you've already lost trying to catch the move that you think is coming, right? Because that's what it boils down to. It boils down to you trying to predict what the price is going to do, which is impossible, by the way. No matter what indicators you look at, it is impossible to predict what price will do. So just make sure that if you are, trading when there is no signal, that you don't lose too much money. Because it could be a number of different things happening. My bias is more bullish on Bitcoin, but it doesn't mean that I am right. Does that make sense? It's still very much a bear market. It's still very weak on, even though you're closing days above the 21, you're still so far away from the 200. It's like, yeah, there's no confidence in buyers or sellers in this kind of market. So it's a two-sided trading market. You have to be willing to be on both sides of that market until we get a clear and obvious breakout or breakdown. You could wait until you start to see a little bit of bullishness on the chart and then maybe try to catch a small intraday pullback, like a 5-minute wick down to a support level or something. If the deltas are bullish and you want to be bullish, but price is still going lower, could wait for some kind of sign. But if price has been trending down all day, just keep in mind that no matter how aggressive the rally is, unless you're above the high of day, it can get faded. It can be faded. XRP is bearish in terms of it is closing days under the 21. So just because the deltas on an intraday basis are bullish, I would still have more of a negative bias on that. So we want to see Bitcoin make a higher 30-minute high here, at least. Give us that. Okay, we got that. So that's good. Slight repair here. Not much, but slight repair. It could still be faded. But at least it's doing that. At least this trend is not continuing. Right? You got 3 30-minute candles of straight downside here. So that would have been a pretty decent little trend, but it's just such a small intraday range. I wouldn't have been able to take profits on the short from there. So that's why I wasn't interested. And then second, I have a daily bullish bias. Yeah, we want to look at the indicators to help us get a bias, but we don't want to rely on the indicator for the trade. So basically the best trades for me are the ones that when I see it, I know within 5 seconds what I want to do to it. I'll be just clicking through the charts. Like yesterday when you said, how does XRP look? Do you remember how when we went over to it, I was like, damn it. I wish we would have looked at this, 20 minutes ago, because we would have definitely shorted it. Because yesterday the setup was just that clear. Instantly, I saw it. Instantly, I knew if I would have been able to. It looked similar to hype with the technical structure on the, with the deltas and price being near the top of the range. But everything else was beautiful for the short, like everything else. So within 5 seconds, those are going to be the best trades. And then still even though when you get that good on identifying the setup, even though that happens, you're still going to have to mitigate risk because you're still going to lose trades. Like no strategy has a 100% hit rate, none of them. And because of those reasons, you can't try to predict what price will do. You can get a bias and you can take a trade in the direction of that bias. You don't want to force the issue. You don't want to keep doing it. Do it a couple times. If it don't work out, move on. Wait for the next day. Where is XRP? I thought it was up near the top of the watch list. I know I've looked over it 30 times probably. Right there it is. Wait, you said deltas on XRP are positive, but price is weak. I don't understand what you're talking about, my friend. The deltas are not positive. Green does not mean positive. The plus or minus does. This is negative. You are under the zero line. Maybe you're above it on a different chart. I don't know. Yeah, that's not a positive delta. That's very much a negative delta. Negative, you're under the dotted line. That's negative. Way under the dotted line on the 30-second chart. The dotted line is your zero. Anything above zero is positive. Anything below zero is negative. And price is negative. Deltas are negative. Price is negative. The deltas were positive at one point in the day. Right here. So all of this, they were positive. They went back to neutral, then back up to positive. But price wasn't confirming that. Like, you're making higher highs on the deltas. Price is clearly not making higher highs. But I would argue that it's not super weak. It's mostly neutral. I mean, it's negative, but I would consider this neutral. Yeah. But yesterday it was very easy coming into the New York session. Those are going to be where the best trades are, guys. From 8:30 to 10:30 in that window, because you're catching that New York open volume and then price is moving with heavy volume in the direction. So literally the New York bell rang right here at 9:30. It traded back up to the prior day high. That's where we would have looked for the short. We were neutral or under neutral, indicating that the sellers are more aggressive than the buyers. And you're weak overall on the larger time frame structures, daily and 4 hour. Like, just looking at the moving averages, you were unable to close a 4 hour candle above the 200, not even one. So that's more of a bearish bias. When the indicator flips and gets back above the purple, then you have bullish structure, but it's intraday structure. Daily structure would still be negative in that scenario. But I mean, it could still bounce, even with all the indicators telling us that, it looks like it's going to do this. It could still do the unexpected. Price is chaotic. It is absolutely unpredictable. So Bitcoin giving us a little bit more of a bounce here. That's good. But it did this pretty much yesterday a couple times, where it traded down to support, bounced, and then rolled over. Like yesterday, we traded down to a support, we bounced. There wasn't anything on it. There wasn't any steam on it, any momentum. It wasn't cooking with grease, if you will. But it couldn't get any trending to the downside either. I mean, it just barely made a fresh lower low. And that was the end. That was all she wrote. And then here we are again today, this morning. Just barely under. All right. So we can sit in it when it's doing that. We cannot sit in it if it's doing this. And that's what the stop is for. It's a good reaction finally, and it's getting late, so I definitely wanted to see that reaction show up at some point. we generally do have a good track record in this community for having intraday biases. It is the hardest thing to do in the markets consistently, is have, good intraday biases to know where you want to be, what direction you want to be putting your trade on. Coming into the day, we knew we wanted to be long. We just don't know where. And we still don't know if it's going to work or not. It's got to get all the way up to the weekly high to be a 2% move. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Even though this looks like a big move, especially if you're looking at like a 30-second chart or something, looks like it's a pretty decent move. But if you look at it in terms of P&L, it's a nothing burger. It's a nothing burger move. You need a much bigger move in order to make money on this. That's with $1,000 in margin with 20x leverage. I'm holding a quarter of a Bitcoin here long. It's a pretty big position. So this move isn't anything. It's nothing. This thing could end up being, with the time, we got an hour and 10 minutes left on this 4-hour candle. It could still end up being a bearish engulfing, like yesterday was around this time. But it hasn't gone anywhere, has it, since it put in this? So it gave you a pretty decent move. If you would have been a seller at the high of day yesterday, you would have gotten a big enough move to take profits. If you've traded Bitcoin any time today, it hasn't gone anywhere. It hasn't done anything yet. So there's still a lot of pimped up leverage from just yesterday and now today in this small tight range. But you can see how the structure has shifted here. It doesn't mean it will continue to go up because, like I said, that's what this market is lacking: conviction. There's not enough conviction to sustain a trend or a rally or even a bearish trend. Because, I mean, you got a decent one here, but once it got there, that was the end of the road. It was the end of the road for the sellers. But that was a decent trend. We caught that move, right? We caught that. Now, in terms of the buys or the bids, like the sellers just got exhausted down here. They couldn't break it down, and now you're back above the 200. Your 21 has shifted. Moving averages are not very helpful in a range-bound market, though. But at least it's trying to act like it is looking for support. So that's a good sign. It's not breaking down and trending lower. So that's more positive than it is not positive, I would say, just from doing this for so many years. It's a good look. It's almost like a rounding bottom, right? Now on the daily time frame, you've just gotten back above the daily 21. So you've got so much work to do on the daily chart. But that's why I'm trying to get long, because I think with if, and that's a big if, in quotations, if the sellers are exhausted, then we might see a larger trending move take place. But I'm not going to keep beating my head against the wall trying to get long. All I need to do is be right once, and it will cover literally all the wrong trades that I've taken on it. All of them and more. On one good right call. We're back above the day open. That's positive. That's constructive. You're no longer red on the day. But Is there any conviction in this move? We'll see. It looks pretty okay. 30-minute looks good. You've made a second higher 30-minute high. That is good, constructive. We like. I'd say this one over here might be breaking out now. Getting close. See why I didn't chase it? Hopefully you didn't chase it either. This is why I don't chase. I've seen this shit happen way too many times. Now we can take it if it fails. Do we still have negative deltas down here? Are we still trending lower? No, it's not. We're going to want to see the deltas stop in their tracks right here. We don't want to see it expand any higher. Well, we'll use this lower area here. So we'll give it 10 or 15 minutes. We're not just going to throw a sell out here because our level's being tagged. Now it's late in the session. So now the edge of New York session volume is against us. Now it feels more like this thing is probably going to rally. Probably going to do something similar to what Fartcoin did because the sellers had the aggressiveness here. They were trending even, but price was not confirming that move. So anybody that sold in here, they're stuck now. So we have to be respectful to price as it might want to dish out some give back real quick. And hype can move. Hype can move very rapidly. You could get 3 of these big boys right here, up here. Boom, boom, boom. So we're going to have to respect the fact that the sellers were the aggressors, but they were not able to do what they wanted to do. And we kind of know that if Bitcoin gets very bullish, then this could too. POC has migrated to the upside finally. But we're kind of not seeing what we want to see here. Yeah. Oh shit, I got filled on it, actually. I forgot. I had a limit order up there. So that sucks. I'm sitting here telling you to wait, and I'm already freaking short. And that's an accident. So we're definitely going to mitigate that real quick to make sure that can't come out there and bite us right in the ass and hurt too bad. It could still end up hurting, but we're not going to let it hurt us too bad. But yeah, I got filled because I put my limit sell right there at the prior 4-hour swing high. I'm not really seeing what I want to see to be short now. But if Bitcoin fails, like if it does get faded, then this might work out. But it can't. I do not want to see it trending above this point right here. Not even one 30-minute close higher than this level. If that happens, I'm probably going to bail. Probably going to bail on this idea. Sellers had plenty of time. They had deltas on their side. They had time on their side. They had volume on their side. They did not get a trending move here. So now they're stuck. Those sellers are stuck. Anybody that chased, if they haven't been stopped out yet, they're getting ready to be. It's similar to what Fartcoin did to us the other day. Just chopped sideways in a range. We were looking for it to break down. It never did. And then boom, it took off. But the difference here between this trade and Fartcoin trade is we knew Fartcoin was probably going to stop us out. because the deltas were hugely bullish that day. Hugely bullish. They were trending all day long to the upside. So we knew that buying was super aggressive in Fartcoin that day. You don't have that here. The sellers are more aggressive than the buyers still, but that's changing. That scenario is changing. Bitcoin gave us a retest of the day open. It looks like it wants to retest it a little bit more. So if I was a bear on Bitcoin, I don't know that I would be able to take a short here, but if it can't close a higher 30-minute candle than 71,298, I might be able to. I'm not bearish. I don't have a bearish bias on Bitcoin. As long as it's trading above its weekly VWAP, April's VWAP, I can't have a bearish bias on it. Unless it's testing like a huge high time frame level and we're seeing other indicators suggest that we might be heading lower, we got the dollar on our side and all this other stuff, then we can think about it. But none of that's with the sell side right now. I think it's not for me, right? I'm not going to say I think the sellers are wrong because I clearly have no idea what price is going to do. Nobody does, but yeah, hype is going to stop me out. Yep. So now you're trending. You just made a higher daily high, but this 5-minute candle is a higher close. This 5-minute candle has made a higher high. If it makes another higher close, you are trending above the level we wanted to see a rejection at. If the sellers were going to remain in control of this. Excuse me. My stop is setting at 39.45 or 46. Rounded up. So that's right here. Right here is where my stop is setting. Very close to stopping me out. Bitcoin testing the day open right now as we speak. This held. Right here's your day open on hype. So we can just delete that and put it on the actual day open. You can see how boom, boom. Now you're expanding upward. So we're probably going to need to stop. And the sellers had control of it too. Should have been able to break that open. Because it didn't. Indicates that there were some sneaky bids in there. Them sneaky bids. Still a good looking 30-minute candle. Now what we don't want to see is we do not want to see this candle's low be taken out. If it does get taken out, then you can argue that this was just a fadeable rally or a short covering rally. I don't know if any news came out or anything. The dollar was trading at the daily lows. That's why we were looking for longs on Bitcoin. That and Bitcoin structure. All right, let's see here. Now all we got to do is wait, let time do its thing. East Coast client meeting. Oh, read that. Read that. Mofo. Is that a ticker? Or did I say the word mofo? Can you please talk about long-term buying opportunity on Bitcoin 3 years plus? Well, if I was going to be a long-term buyer, I am a long-term buyer on Bitcoin. I bought $4,000 worth of Bitcoin the other day at 67K. I'm adding at 67K. I have a standing buy limit at 67K. That's where I'm buying. That's where I think we are at what I consider to be fair value. We're still trading above the weekly 200 on Bitcoin. Right? So you haven't tested that weekly 200 yet. This is a 200 simple. A lot of people thought that you were going to break down below this, and you might still do that, right? It could still happen. Obviously, you're still structured bearish. It could still break down. It could still head much lower. But this is what people were failing. I guess they anticipated that when it hit oversold, it would just stay at oversold and keep going, which is possible. It is absolutely possible. We've seen that happen with a lot of things. But I mean, generally speaking, when you hit oversold, if you're a seller, that's where you want to start taking profits. And for me, as a long-term buyer on Bitcoin, I want to be buying weekly oversold tests, specifically on the weekly chart. So once you tag that oversold area and you spend some time in that oversold area, I want to basically dictate what I think is value. And right now, earlier in the stream, we discussed it. We basically want to take a midpoint of the range that Bitcoin is currently trading in. You could argue and say that February's entire candle is that range. But I said the range that I was looking at to get a midpoint of 67K was this low, February's low, up to March's high, because that's where Bitcoin rejected going higher. So clearly it lost demand up there. So in the middle of that range, if you put a Fibonacci retracement tool on that, you'll see that your 50% or the midpoint of the range is 68K. I said 67, so anywhere in this area right in here. Now, this is my opinion, and obviously make sure you know what you are risking if you buy. Understand that I can be wrong, but this is where I want to accumulate for a 5-year hold. At, could it be a 4-year hold? Yeah, it could be. 3-year, maybe. We'll see, right? But the outlook is for 5 or more. But this, I think, is a decent area to be a buyer. And then if we get another drop, like another leg lower, I can be a buyer like every $10,000 increment all the way down to 37. Under 37, I'm going to take a step back. Hold up. Wait a minute. You know what I mean? Because something else is going on. Bitcoin has been in a decent trend. You can see it's losing its daily right now, but on the long term, like because of the halving or whatever, cycle theory, whatever you want to call it, there has been this trend where Bitcoin has consistently followed the power law. At some point, that could break, but it hasn't yet. And if it stays within the power law, and the power law just means you're working on an exponential date and price. Both are logarithmic, right? That's what the power law is. Your Y and X axis are both log. So it has been making higher lows for its entire life. So each time it's had a bear market, those bear markets end up being shallower. So 76% off of the highs is where that breaks for me. It might not be that way for anybody else, but for me, that's where it's no longer a buy zone. And that price is 30K. But the reason I said I will stop buying at 37 is because that will be like 35% lower than the 200 exponential. So I want to be accumulating in this region. We hit oversold, so that's my first buy. I'll buy again at 67K, then I'll wait. If it drops, I'll get in at, 57, then 47, and then 37, and then I'll be done. And then I'll wait and see what happens. But the last bear market it made right here, its low was 37% under the 200. Back here, when you had the pandemic or whatever, that low ended up being 27% under the 200. And then unfortunately, we just don't have any more data on this chart. We can go look at it on this chart and we'll get more data. Go back here, when you tested that 200 week, to be fair, that's the first time you tested it. 21%, 29%. So you see this average, right? Where, 37-ish% is about max end. So essentially, if Bitcoin drops under 37K, right, then I will leave it alone, because it could be like something dramatic is happening, something that I couldn't foresee. So I don't want to be a buyer anywhere under this, even though it's under cheap. It's because it's no longer staying consistent within its own trend. If it loses this area. So it could lose the area because of volatility. I understand that. Like a flash crash or something would definitely force it lower. But I wouldn't be interested in buying it anymore until it got back into this area. And the reason for that is very simple. Because it has to, at some point, start to repair, as price is elastic. So it can put in an extreme low under this 37K area, but I wouldn't be participating in any of that. I wouldn't exit my Bitcoin. I wouldn't sell it all. Of course not. Because I know price is elastic. I know it'll give me an opportunity to rethink and reevaluate my portfolio moving forward. So I think this is a very good, I got this idea from another YouTube channel. My levels are not the same as his, but I'm just simply using the 200 week simple moving average as a mean to dictate fair value. And then too far extended above the 200 would be expensive. Too far below the 200 would be cheap. Because historical data shows us that Bitcoin respects that 200 very good. You can get under it, but it usually comes back, right? It can get under it, but it usually comes back. And in some scenarios, it ends up being the low. Yeah, we have that going on right now. So this would be, in my opinion, the best, model to follow for a longer term buy and hold strategies. as long as Bitcoin doesn't get too extreme to the downside, I like it where it is all the way down to here. I think it's an accumulation opportunity. So hopefully that helps. Let's go back to the Coinbase chart. We got a higher high. Whoopee, yay. Nice. Keep going, baby. All right. I am on Bitstamp. Dang, big difference. Yeah, you got to watch that too, Jewelry Fairs. Watch that too. Different exchanges are going to have different volume datas. Yep. Unfortunately. Nice move on Bitcoin to POC. Yeah, it's looking pretty good. It's looking pretty good. It's what we want, what we wanted to happen. We'll see if the buyers are a little bit more, I don't know, confident today. I was checking the XRP deltas on the Bitstamp chart. I got you. So yeah, that would definitely, obviously I'm stopped out here. That would definitely change. Different exchanges have different volume. That's why we don't put too much weight in an indicator. Okay? That's why, right there. Because one indicator might say something on one exchange, it might say something completely different on another, and it does. You are correct. It is extremely bullish here. Yeah. Yep. But you also know that if Bitcoin goes up, XRP most likely will also, because the same liquidity providers in XRP are also in Bitcoin. And XRP is just benefiting from bullish flows into Bitcoin. Yeah. All right. So yeah, keep that in mind. We do not put, like, the indicators are just going to tell us whether it's a trade or not. It's not really going to be the end all. It's just going to let us know, is it even a setup or not? So yeah. I think you should look at, if you're going to look at volume indicators specifically, whether it's a volume weighted average price, cumulative volume delta, or whatever volume indicator, if it's a volume indicator, you should probably look at it on the exchange that has the most volume. Bitstamp doesn't have near the volumes Binance does. But they all follow, like, if price on Binance goes up, then price on Bitstamp is going up. Way back in the day when cryptos were first like new, you would see massive discrepancies between price on exchanges, but that opportunity's been arbed out. Those liquidity providers have arbed out those opportunities. That's why now, you know, price is pretty consistent. If you get a move on one exchange, it's going to happen across most exchanges. Yeah. But going back over to Bitcoin, nice little spike here. We still haven't closed this 30-minute candle above yet. Looks good. Resistance is going to be close to the midpoint of this candle. This could still be a trap. It would be a hell of a trap, but it could still be a trap. This day's range is so small, you could literally make a fresh day high and then go make a fresh day low later, because the range is so small. Right here is your daily open, so that's your daily high. You got really close to making a fresh day high. Notice how you did not make a lower low here. So I would have rather had seen a lower low and then a higher high. This is a higher low. Could be positive that it is a higher low, but a lot of games are played in the crypto market. I'll just say that and leave it at that. A lot of games are played. We're getting a move up on silver, so we're getting that liquidation. But like I said, well, it's not a liquidation yet. We're actually testing the prior 8-hour open. We got to get above that second white line, 75.75, to liquidate. And that's only an 8-hour swing high. It's not a daily swing high. So if you get above this, the threat is that you come all the way back up to here. That's why this is the last place where we want to be a seller. Because if the sellers are going to control this, which they probably won't if the dollar continues to break down. Now that the dollar is back on the lows and Bitcoin is literally really close to making fresh highs, I don't really have a bearish bias on silver. It could be, though, because it has the technical structure still to be a sell. Here's your 200 EMA on the 4-hour time frame. These deltas are wrong. VWAPs are wrong. But, I mean, the signal is good. So we can sell it. I mean, we have heavier deltas, more aggressive, but it's on the near term. Look at this. Yeah, give us that liquidation. Hype is moving up and continuing to do so. So do not short hype anymore. Do not look for the short anymore. A lot of stop losses getting triggered on those sellers. That's all bid demand. Blue indicates bid. That means short sellers getting smoked. You just made a higher daily high on Bitcoin. So that should be our take profit, but because this range is so small, right? We need it higher. So this, what was supposed to be a day trade scalp, is going to be a swing trade. We knew that going into the position, right? We knew that. We knew we would need to see a larger move in order to get a 2% move out of Bitcoin, in order to take profits. You can take profits now if you want to. There's nothing wrong with taking profits. That's funny, Bradley. Nothing wrong with taking profits, guys. That's what we wanted to see happen. That's what happened. So good stuff. We got lucky again today. Look at that. Two good days in a row. Imagine the luck. All right, so yeah, oil's starting to find a little bit of resistance up there. Makes sense. It was a fresh day high. It's running out of steam. Gave it a couple days to reset near-term indicators. The 30 minutes all the way back up into positive territory. Hourly's back up into positive territory, but your 4-hour is still pretty oversold. I mean, it's out of oversold territory, but it's still a little bit aggressive to look for shorts right here, which is why I'm not, I guess. I said I would if it failed, but I didn't add to the short. Instead, I decided to get long Bitcoin instead. I liked Bitcoin for the long. It just looked like it was a long. But yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. Hopefully it can continue. Hopefully the buyers have a little bit more in their chassis or in the tank. The deltas have gotten back to bullish, or at least it never really got under neutral. But I know the sellers can show up at any point. Nice move on Bitcoin to POC. Read that. I was checking. Yep, read that. Can you look at ENJ? Yes. I do not have that on watch. ENJ USD. Very thin liquidity on this. Let me try a perp futures contract instead. Hopefully there's more liquidity in that. There is. Okay, good. I mean, I don't like wiki charts because it kind of indicates a lack of liquidity. I mean, this is a massive wick. Good for anybody that caught that short. It was on 1010. We did catch a short on a public live stream on Pingu. We didn't get a 99% move out of Pingu, but we did get 80, which is close enough in my book. But yeah, big nasty wicks, even to the upside, kind of indicates light liquidity. I mean, it looks good in terms of it. This is probably a short covering rally. So every Sunday we do a channel members live stream, and we discussed at length in that live stream about how, thank you, baby, a lot of these things, you can take that, trash it. A lot of these things are just pretty much potentially going to bounce just based on short covering rallies. Just the people that have been short for so long are going to close those positions, especially if they're paying heavy funding fees. It doesn't make sense to sit in a short and tie that capital up from March 23rd until April 6th, paying funding fees every single day to hold that short when price is not moving. That's why I closed my Bitcoin short. If it's not moving, you have allocated capital to an asset that is literally not moving. So you are losing money each day that goes by. It's not a lot of money in some cases. In some cases it is, depending on the funding fees. So what happens, a lot of short sellers will do exactly what I did. They'll look at that, they'll put two and two together, they'll realize, hey, I'm paying too much in funding fees to even hold this piece of garbage. It's not going any lower. I'm going to close that position. Well, if you get a bunch of people doing that, this happens. Boom. But it's not signifying actual real demand. It's not like, hey, Engine, or I'll just call it ENJ because that's kind of racist, but ENJ is got super bullish because it broke out of a technical trend. Okay, maybe. But mostly it's because a lot of shorts closed out their positions. There wasn't any juice left in the lemon to squeeze. You squeezed it all out. So to sit there and squeeze it for 10 more days was irrelevant. So you get what's called a short covering rally or a dead cat bounce. That could be what's going on here. But I could have a bullish bias on it as long as Bitcoin remains elevated or at least above its daily 21 exponential. Because I know this is. You know what I mean? This is above its 21 by a long shot now. Hell, that was such a huge spike. You're retesting the 200. So, I mean, if demand shows up now, if you get a higher low or a longer term support build, then you can start to think, okay, well, it does look like demand is showing back up. What you don't want to do is buy it if the sellers are showing back up too, because now that it's back up to 4 pennies, they can knock it right back down to 2 pennies again. There's a 50% downside trade there, potentially. So it becomes attractive again to the short sellers is basically what I'm saying. So you're going to need to give it some time, be patient, and see if there's actual demand, and allow those very near-term sellers. They've already obviously been smoked, right? Anybody that's shorted ENJ in the last 2 weeks has been liquidated. Force liquidated if they didn't have stop losses. But it's a good spike, and I would argue that you do kind of maybe are starting to see more and more demand, because this was also going to be the same scenario, a short covering rally, and they did build in higher low support, and now boom. So maybe buyers are starting to slowly creep back into it, but you're going to need to see Bitcoin remain elevated or at least bullish a little bit for that to continue. It is still clearly in a downtrend. This is the first 200 EMA retest for so long. I would be interested in selling it again. I'm not going to. I'm just simply stating a fact. On the first retest, it's generally an opportunity for sellers. So just be careful with it. There's not any, sorry, I had to get a drink. There's not many technical levels to go by here, because this is just extremely volatile on the near term. The technical levels may or may not be respected. You didn't say what you were looking for. You just said, can you look at ENJ? I mean, that's basically all I got. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about the white papers. I have no idea what this token was created for, or what its use case is, or even if there is one. So all I can do is look at the chart. The chart looks like garbage on a long-term basis. It's not something that I would invest in, right? I want to invest in things that trend from the bottom left to the top right. That's what I want to invest in. I want to invest in proven assets. Assets that have been trading for enough time. They have proven that they are, in fact, in an uptrend. Those are the assets you want to buy. These are moonshot gambling things, to me. It could ultimately, get a 100 or 200% pop from the sheer fact of just sellers closing positions. And you're going to see that probably a lot across the board. So I got in WorldCoin the other day with a very small position. I think I was risking $30 on it to see if it's done too. You know what I mean? Because you have the exact same scenario happening here. Like, this was a new spike. This is when Dan Ives got involved with WorldCoin. So ignore that, right? Just ignore that. But it has literally been getting absolutely murked ever since. It's been making fresh all-time low after fresh all-time low for a while now. So eventually I feel like this will probably also pop from a short covering rally. It hasn't yet. So if you try to get involved in anything like this, you got to be very quick to take profits. If you get a move in your direction. Okay? Very quick to take profits if you get that move in your direction. Because it is a straight gamble. Which ones are going to hit and which ones aren't. And then one last thing, and then I'll move on. Also, dominance is going to be a huge factor in some of these alts. Not all of them, but some of them. Right? Alts tend to do better when dominance, Bitcoin dominance specifically, is breaking down. That tends to be when you see your alt seasons. Now, I did say a couple weeks ago on a video that you could be getting ready to see something like that, but I said that you needed to see a breakdown below this swing low first. 57.21. It's got to break down below that. If it does that, you know, then some alts might start seeing some growth. They might start popping. All right, Bitcoin is doing really good now. Hitting our take profit targets. Take profits. We're done. We're done for today, guys. Take your money and run. I'm taking mine. I always take profits. I'm taking profits right now. Good trading, everybody. Hopefully some of you were able to catch that as we were really one-sided today. We knew we wanted to be bulls on Bitcoin. And we knew where we wanted to be bulls on Bitcoin. So we got lucky. Because it played out pretty good. Alright. Here, let me put you up there so that way you know I'm not pulling your chain. So there's my entry. Right at that wick. Yes, I had to sit in a little bit of pain for a little bit of a minute, but it was fine. Take profit. I risk $100 to make $300. So I can do that here. Current price is 72.049. So let's see what 72.1 looks like. On, I don't know, say 75% of the position size, right at 300 bones. I'll take it. Wait. Okay, so it moved up that quick. Got it. All right, so let's go 125. Boom. So there you go. That's how we do it. We consistently make money because we consistently mitigate risk. And then I'll have about a $250 position size to hold here with leverage. I know that doesn't sound like much, but if Bitcoin continues to trend up from this point and has a nice big bullish breakout, that little $250 position will double, triple, maybe even quadruple. So we got filled. We made our $300. We're done for the day. Good to go. Yeah, this position probably needs to be closed. Let me see what I've paid in funding fees here. $23, that's not bad. But I mean, the P&L was $874, now it's $851. So it is taking from the P&L for sure. I'm gonna set a new stop loss here because if it, comes back, I don't want to lose any money. As I've made 300 today, I want to bank that, and I want to see my balance settle tonight with green. And there was no way I could lose money going into this week thanks to that oil trade. But now that just caps it off and we close the week out strong. Nice. It's not life-changing money, but the money is irrelevant because this strategy can be leveled up. I could just as easily been in that trade with a $10,000 position size or a $100,000 position size. The amount of money that I make is irrelevant. The amount of money that you make right now, it's irrelevant. It doesn't matter if you're trading with a $5 position size. All you need to do is build up consistency for a year or two. Prove it to yourself that you can, in fact, grow an account. When you can do that, as long as you don't change what you were doing to grow the account, you can scale up. You can get funding through prop firms. People will give you money to trade. If you can prove that you are a profitable trader, they will give you money. Random strangers will give you money. But you need proof of consistency. You need proof that you know how to mitigate risk. You need proof. And then the money won't be an issue. The money will come. You just got to develop the skill and be able to prove it. And the money will, yeah. So yeah, good day. Good day. I did lose one trade on Bitcoin, so that was $30. I lost another $30 on hype, so that's $60 I lost today. I made 295. The math is green. Good stuff. Let's go look for a trade in Forex because I had to close out my, hang on. We got the liquidation on silver here. Deltas are still trending lower. So now pretty much anybody and everybody that shorted silver has been stopped out today, right? So a good idea would be to potentially wait because you are closing above the 200 here, potentially going to. You got 18 minutes left on this candle's close. Now, I understand that this perpetual futures contract, the structure of the candlesticks are not going to look anything like your standard XAG Forex pair or whatever, right? They're going to be different because they close at differing times. But I'm going by this chart because this is where I'm placing the trade if I decide to place the trade. What I would rather do here, because obviously the sellers are more aggressive and they've been wrong literally all day long. Like your every 4-hour candle so far in today's range has closed higher. You don't even have a bearish close in this price action. So chances are that momentum could carry the day for the rest of the day. At best, you might trade sideways to slightly down for the rest of the day. All right, price might do something like this for the rest of the day. I wouldn't anticipate this for sure. I would not anticipate that. But tomorrow, we might get an opportunity. You could potentially take it here now, but just understand that it could continue, right? Because all the sellers are being squeezed right now. So this can continue to move higher all day long. And if the dollar continues to roll over, which it is currently doing, if it continues to push down, then that would potentially give silver the steam to keep going up. But 75.75 is where I'd mitigate that risk. I'd put a stop somewhere up here. I wouldn't force the issue. As Bitcoin is bullish right now, silver is bullish right now, dollar is bearish, oil is bearish. Like, silver could continue to move higher. But I am interested to watch silver for the next day or two, because on the 4-hour chart, if it can build a range that looks like this above the 200, right? Trading sideways and choppy in here, then what I can do is say, okay, if it breaks out to the upside, I don't want to be a seller anymore, because you're probably going to see it run up to these highs here next. However, if it fails to do this, then I can be a seller here. And then I could target this first and then this second. Boom, take profit number one. Boom, take profit number two. But I think we would need the dollar to get back to bullish again for that to happen. I think you would almost need the war to start back up again. I know that's what everybody's saying right now, right? You have, what's his name? It's not Ray Dalio. Is it Ray Dalio or is it the other one? I don't remember. I think it's Ray Dalio. Is literally saying this war is not over, blah, blah, blah. You got the chick on Bloomberg every morning, surveillance Bloomberg. She is always bearish, though. She is always on the pessimist side of the board. I guess it's because she's a news anchor. She has to be. I don't know. But a lot of your talking heads are very bearish, saying that this war is not over. I tend to lean more to the optimist side of things because the markets do. The S&P usually trends up. It doesn't trend down. When it does go down, it goes down for brief periods of time and then right back up again. Silver doesn't really trend. It did the last 3 years because of a massive all-time high breakout, and gold and China and central banks and all that stuff. You had a perfect storm for a gold breakout, silver breakout. But I don't think silver can withstand super expensive prices. That's a subjective take. Obviously, it could go up higher. But it looks like it's trying to repair. Looks like it's trying to repair itself. This was a nice drop. We caught it. We caught the majority of it. We caught that. And I think we got it through here because I fat fingered my entry. I had to get out of it. I had a really good position size and everything to catch this. I had a downside target of $70, but I had to close the position because the Weeks platform took a dump on us one day. But anyways, I don't know if there's a whole lot more downside to get on it. It's what I mean. Like longer term, I have more of a negative bias on the dollar. And now that the dollar has refused to break out, that's a good sign for risk on longer term. Now, I am not a macro analyst. I am not an economist. I am none of those things. I am a price action analyst. So you can take my macro takes with a grain of salt. I'll be the first one to tell you that. I do pretty good at analyzing price, though. And that's my wheelhouse. That's where I make the money. But I've been doing this a long time, and I kind of think that, the macro does support a weaker dollar right now. Especially if we start to see rate cuts. We have some epic bullish volume coming in here on Bitcoin for some reason. Look at this. This just started to happen. Nice move, Bitcoin. Love it. Love it when a plan comes together. All right. If you get Bitcoin below 60K, I guarantee you there's a credit contraction happening. Wouldn't touch almost any market during that event. Yeah, I mean, private credit is in trouble right now. There's no doubt about it. And private credit, if it continues, will likely bring the market down with it. Yep, you are 100% right about that. What is your favorite private credit ticker, please? I would like to take a look at it. I knew one of them was like, what was it, Eagle or Owl? Blue Owl. They stopped doing redemptions. Even this company did, I think. That's not good. I might be wrong on this. I don't know if this is private credit or not, but that chart is definitely not freaking good. I'll ask Grok while I wait on you. I don't trade private credit, obviously. Privert. Also SPDR, SSGA, Apollo, IG Public, and Private Credit ETF. Why Priv stands out, it launched in early 2025. Well, I don't necessarily want to know the newest one, bro. I said the most well-known. Trying to remember if any of these sound familiar, and none of them do. Because you're not the only one that has asked me to take a look at some private ticker symbol. Private credit. I'll look at BIZD, which is Van Eck, and then I'll look at Priv. Let's go look at Priv first. Yeah, it doesn't look as bad as Blue Owl, but it doesn't look good either. Very volatile, very choppy wiki. It's traded during New York session only. That's why it's gappy like that. Does look like a head and shoulders, an inverse head and shoulders. I'm not a pattern trader, but I gotta let you know when I see them. I mean, not much of one. It is kind of there, but it does look like kind of a bottoming formation. There's been 52 weeks, so we'll have a 50. If there's been 52 weeks, we'll have a 50. We barely got one. So far, it's holding the 50 EMA. That's a good sign. You won't get a 100 or a 200 on a weekly. This launched in 2025. And I've already forgotten the other one that freaking quick. BIZD. B-I-Z-D. Van Eck. Ugh. Looks like that other one. Bad. Damn, dude. This is a weekly chart. You have a full on death cross on the weekly. Son of a bitch. This thing is never going up. Even before the pandemic, this thing was getting annihilated. So obviously this company sucks at investing. Now this is going the opposite direction that I would want to invest in. There'd be a freaking long-term seller on this. I just straight be selling calls. till the wheels fall off. I'm not going to. It's a very cheap asset. I'm just making conversation here. But yeah, Lunar, if you're still here, what is your favorite ticker? Apollo Global. Yeah, it looks like that's it. Priv. Oh wait, SPDR. Oh yeah, that's crazy. That's a lot. Let me type that in. BAML. HOA. I don't know if that's a 0 or no. It looks like a 0 maybe. I'll just go with O. HYM2. Maybe it's 0. Yeah, it's going to be a 0. 2 zeros. Yeah, I mean, but this isn't very helpful, right? Because it's always on the lows too, pretty much. I guess if it breaks down, it would be bad, and it looks like it's going to. Yeah, it's not going to be good if private credit breaks down. Private credit has so much money. SPDR, SSGA. State Streets, S&P, SPDR, S&P Dividend ETF. So that's what I tried to type in, right? SPDR. Yeah. Yeah, that's not it. Yeah. Money is already extremely cheap, though. The last time we had major event was 2020, and refinancing for that period began in Q3 2025. Yeah, it could definitely cause a collapse. It definitely could. I've heard other people state that same fact. But, I mean, I don't know that it's going to happen. It's a risk, and it's a risk right now because, well, they're taking a beating. Another thing that people need to be very concerned about is right here. This is not good. This is where a lot of Americans have their money, guys. My stepfather lost millions. He wasn't specifically in TLT only. The investment company that he used has a bunch of different ticker symbols and ETFs that they track in-house. They invented them because they run other strategies in and around the bonds. But when he set it up, 40 years ago with them, he said, I want as little risk as possible. As little risk as possible. I want it to slowly grow over time, so that way when I'm old enough, I can retire and be good. And he went from being a multimillionaire, unrealized, of course, to a couple $100,000 because of what happened in 2020, and it never recovered. And not only has it never recovered, it looks like it's wanting to break down again. Like, this is not a good pattern. I'm not trying to scare anybody or anything, but this thing needs to be trending up. This is America. This is investing in America. Like, this is not good. A lot. Like, a lot of people have money, lots of money invested in this, and they have taken a beating. And future presidents need to get a hold of this, and in order to do that, they're going to have to stop spending money, because obviously that's a huge reason as to why this went down. The pandemic sparked a lot of overreaction, in my opinion. A lot of things did not need to happen. It could have been done differently, but they did not need to go so much further in debt. And a lot of that money was wasted anyway due to fraud. But yeah, they need to get that fiscal spending under control. If this breaks down, nobody's going to want to invest in America. I would be afraid if I had money in this. I would be afraid. I would rather put that money in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is a safer asset than this is right now. Think about that for a second. I know that might sound crazy to a money manager that's been doing this for 500 years, but I'm telling you, as someone who's been doing it for, 15 years, I would rather have my money in Bitcoin than this. Bitcoin's chart looks better than this. This is supposed to go up and to the right. It shouldn't be this volatile. This asset was cut in half. Over half. Like, it's not good. And this is just the 20-year. 53% gone. So it put a lot of people in the red, and it's not cool that the government allowed it to happen because of their decisions. But yeah. Anyways, Bitcoin looking okay here. Bitcoin doesn't look good, and Bitcoin is a lot more volatile, obviously. Right? One would think your money would be safer in the TLT than it would be in Bitcoin. That's how it's supposed to be anyways. Bitcoin is supposed to be the riskiest asset on the planet. Bitcoin's already had several bull markets in the same time that the TLT collapsed and puked and burned. It has not recovered. 2020, it needs to get back up to those highs. It's not going back anytime soon. Yeah, Bitcoin's looking okay here. So we can get rid of all these levels. We're no longer going to need them. We're going to need the weekly open moving forward. We're going to need April's open moving forward. Weekly support held. And if we fib this range from where this is MicroStrategy's cost basis. So as long as Bitcoin is under this, the squeeze is still on. You are still squeezing Sailor or Sailor's company. Above this, depending on how far it gets above this, there's a lot of stuff that starts to shift. A lot of stuff that starts to shift here, in my opinion. He's no longer being squeezed. The MNAV is good. That could prompt more buying pressure. Hopefully it does. We'll see. But it's got a long way to go there. But that is, in my opinion, key resistance. The liquidation area, of course, first and foremost will be this swing high, then February's high. As if we go out to the monthly chart real fast, we're getting ready to wrap this up. We made money on Bitcoin, so there ain't anything else to do here. I think silver is a little early. Yeah, you've already closed above the 200 and you're putting in a fresh higher high right now. That's not what I would want to see happening if this was going to be just a liquidation move. If it was simply just a liquidation, I would not want to see this happening. But we're going to keep it on watch. As long as it's trading above this price, I am not going to be putting a short on it. I do not. My bias is for Bitcoin to continue. But anyways, you've got the 786 right there at 73,650. That could act as near-term resistance. I'm only saying this for the sellers out there or the people out there that have a sell-side bias. because I'm a trader. This is a trader community. We want to give the bias for both sides of the market. We do not discriminate here. We're not perma bulls and we're not perma bears. We take the money when the money is given. We want to get paid on both sides of the market. We don't care if Bitcoin goes to 0 or if Bitcoin goes to 1,000,000. We don't care. We're going to make money regardless. But anyways, resistance, potential resistance, 73,650. That's going to be your weekly range fib. You would want to see it start to fail or at least start to show signs of slowing down up here. If it even gets up there, it may not. This is a key level. It is a 3-day or a weekly swing high. All right, you got weekly res right in here as well. You've already tagged weekly res. But the next level for liquidations is up here. So basically the way that I would analyze this chart moving forward is if you're trading above weekly res, you're threatening a run back up to 76. And I just couldn't have a sell side bias in that scenario. Right? But the real major level for liquidations is February's high. So you've got a couple levels of potential resistance in here. And then your weekly 21 exponential is getting closer and closer to price, which will happen the longer it trades sideways, obviously. In terms of a daily, you're back above the 50 today. As of right now, the 100 is going to come in right here at MSTR's cost basis as well. So a little bit of resistance, overhead resistance coming up. And then obviously the yearly opening range is going to be the next huge level. So we will be interested. When I say we, I'm talking about my community specifically. If you break out above February's high, we will be interested in putting on shorts up there. And we will be interested in putting on shorts up here. Just because of what those two levels signify, like what they are indicating for the future. At some point, you have to stop being bearish. I'd say a daily 200 reclamation. And then if you start building in higher highs and higher lows after that, you could probably shoot the bear market right in the foot. It's probably over. Right? But I'm pretty sure this yearly opening range comes in really close to the 20% off of the highs marker. Nope, it's 30%. So that's basically about where I classify Bitcoin in a bear market, is 30%, because Bitcoin's a lot more volatile than the S&P 500, and the S&P 500 is 20. So some people look at Bitcoin as in a bear market at 20, some at 30, and some even at 40. Some people don't consider Bitcoin in a bear market until it's 40% down because of how volatile it has been in the past. That volatility is going to subside. We track this info on on-chain data. We know that volatility is being compressed. It is going lower each year that goes by. That is a good sign. That means you're losing volatility. Eventually, Bitcoin will trade like gold and silver. When there's normal vol levels, like when the VIX is sitting at like 15 or under in the future, Bitcoin's daily ranges will be like 4x. 0.5% is what you're going to be seeing Bitcoin move. The more money that comes into it, the more liquidity that flows into it, the tighter and tighter daily ranges will get. But it's good for long-term growth, because that's the risk on Bitcoin. If you get worldwide adoption on Bitcoin, Bitcoin goes to 1 million. If you don't get worldwide adoption, it doesn't. That's the way I look at it anyways. But yeah, there's a couple levels of resistance up here. It definitely needs to trend above this current weekly swing high structure, because a failure here will look like a shortable opportunity as well. So I'm not throwing away any of them. Like, I still have some shorts on. I just closed the futures account short. I still own puts, and I will. I'm more than willing to allow those puts to expire worthless. Because when I put those on as a hedge only. I was not anticipating making money on that trade. The futures account is where I'm putting on positions to make money, to accumulate Bitcoin and buy more Bitcoin through trading profits, right? So that's what I am doing with the futures account. But yeah, yearly opening range, 87K, you're a long way from that. These are going to be the two near-term major levels to keep an eye on moving forward here. But I do like this. This looks constructive to me. It looks better than it did, say, 4 hours ago. Okay? All right. Any other questions? Governments around the world have done an excellent job at coordinating the controlled demolition of their treasury markets. Yes, they have. Capital controls is next. We know it. Everybody knows it. That's what's going to happen. The government's going to have to raise taxes. Then the government's probably going to try to take your gold. They're going to try to take your Bitcoin. Yep. Capital controls is next. That's literally where we're headed. When I say they, I mean politicians. I don't give a shit if your politics are left or right. I don't care. All of them are doing the exact same thing. They are all spending way too much money. They need to get that under control. We should have already elected to vote all of them out of office, especially the ones that are obviously doing illegal things and getting away with it. And I'm not talking about Trump. I'm talking about all the insider traders and all that stuff that's going on that we know is going on. Like if there is a freaking Twitter account following your trades and you're a politician, you should be ashamed of yourself. You are doing illegal shit and you're not even trying to hide it anymore. You are too brazen. Your balls have grown too big for your britches. It's time for you to go. You're just lucky that the rest of America doesn't feel the same way that I do. I would have had all of you motherfuckers out of office by now. I would hire kids to do your job. I think they would do better. Kids would have a better job of keeping the spending down than you are. Every one of them need to go. They're all crooked freaking, they gaslight us. They tell us lies straight to our faces. Like, you know it's a lie, I know it's a lie, but still they say it. And then nothing happens. They get to go and run again, and the same rich people give them more money for them to run again because it's such a profitable proposition for both of them. Of course, I will get you elected next year. You helped me make $500 billion to my bottom line. Yeah, that stuff's got to go, man. I'm sick of it. Everybody's sick of it. But they jolly up this little game of cat and mouse. Let's get the left hating the right, get the right hating the left, and as long as they're fighting against each other, they ain't paying attention to what we're doing. And you guys, everybody's falling for that shit. It's not like that in real life. It's mostly on the internet. I go outside of my house every single day, and I can bump into people, and there's not a bunch of fights happening, and you know what I mean? Social media makes it look a lot worse in the world than what it truly is. Obviously, unless you live in Iran or Israel or wherever bombs are going off, then obviously that's real. Just be careful out there. When it comes to trading and investing, that's my soapbox. That's my political rant for the next month. Done. I'm done. It's over. But when it comes to investing, make sure you guys keep your risk tight. If you ever have any questions about something, feel free to ask me. You can ask on a YouTube video. Even if you don't watch the video, you can just pop into a video, type a question in the chat or the comment section. I respond to everybody, anybody and everybody. I don't charge anything for that. if you have a question or whatever, I'll take a look at it. We'll see what we can do. But yeah, make sure you guys trade safe. We're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna keep the rest of this Bitcoin position open, and I will probably look to add to it, but only if it, not this week, probably next week, or going into the weekend if we get a good setup. It's getting late week. It's late in the week now. Tomorrow you're gonna have a CPI print. That CPI print could change some things, right? So we gotta be vigilant about that tomorrow. I don't know that I'll do a live stream tomorrow because everybody already knew that inflation is going to tick up. Because inflation, every $10 move of oil affects CPI by 0.2%, or inflation by 0.2%. Every $10 move up or down on oil. So oil does affect inflation. It will absolutely affect it. But I think the markets have probably priced a lot of that in, but we'll see. So we might do a live stream to the public tomorrow. We'll see. All right, I got to wrap this up. I got a doctor's appointment I got to go to here in a little bit, so got to get some paperwork out for that. You great. Thank you. You're welcome. Thank you. Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining. Judge Judy. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Thank you guys. You guys rock. It's the best community on the internet. Make sure you guys trade safe. Make sure you trade smart. And as always, happy trading, everybody.